Do you know Mr. Jackson? He owns Jackson's Market, 2 blocks up and 1 block over on Kessler Avenue. My family, like most other families in our neighborhood, has shopped there for years. In fact, we bought sugar and flour, paper napkins and bread and eggs, and lots of other things from Mr. Jackson for as long as I can remember. My mother says,
when Mr. Jackson does good business, it helps the entire community by providing jobs for some and goods for the rest of us.
So, I guess you should buy a candy bar every day to help Mr. Jackson out.
Michael, that's not exactly what I had in mind.
Come on, just gather around. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Right there is good.
All right, everybody. I'm going to take this off. Give me a little space, and I'll take it off. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? All right. Happy Kwanzaa, New York City.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
This is a really beautiful moment for all of us. And I want to just talk about my Kwanzaa experience, my first Kwanzaa experience in 1991. I want to be very clear. I had heard of Kwanzaa. I knew it was something special, but I had never experienced until I met a young woman named Charlene, and she took me home to her family, and her family really honored the holiday, and they focused on it, and they really wanted everyone to understand the meaning. So when someone came into the family, they took great care to explain the power and the essence of what Kwanzaa was all about. And I was very deeply moved, because the values of Kwanzaa are powerful. To me, I felt a sense of an understanding of community and heritage and an honoring of the ancestors that was so powerful, so vivid, so necessary. And it spoke to me. And I felt a warm embrace of a beautiful family and the warm embrace of a holiday filled with meaning. And it stuck with me. And I think everyone who hasn't experienced Kwanzaa, everyone who only has had a glimpse of what it means, has an opportunity to learn a lot more and feel why this is so important, why it's so special, why it was created by people who realized something was needed. I want to thank everyone who's gathered here. We have some very special people going to speak. We're only going to each speak for a moment because we know it's really, really cold, but our hearts are warm. Special thank you to everyone who helped make this happen, everyone from the City Hall team. Of course, we're going to hear from the artist in a moment for her amazing work. I want to thank Mitch Silver and everyone at the Parks Department who made sure this happened as a labor of love. I want to thank Assemblymember Rodneyce Bichot, who has joined us. Everyone who's here because they care. Everyone is here because they do so much for the community. Thank you for being here. And everyone, over these 7 days, we're going to keep celebrating. And each day is a powerful principle. And Shirlene's going to call out today's principle, but I want to just look ahead and say the one that I think New Yorkers have exhibited in an amazing way in this most difficult years is the principle Imani, faith. We've seen such extraordinary acts of faith and love this year, and we're going to celebrate that as the week goes on as well. So with that, I want to introduce the person who I owe thanks to for introducing me to Kwanzaa and who does so much for the city out of that love and faith, our First Lady, Shirlene McCrae.
Yes.
Harambe. Habari Gani.
Habari Gani.
Happy Kwanzaa, everybody.
Kwanzaa.
I want to have a moment of silence for our ancestors who we would not be here if they had not had the strength and resilience to carry on through difficult times. And a moment of silence for all those we lost this year. Kwanzaa is much more than a holiday. The 7 principles are a guide for our lives, a reminder of what is important, our values, our family, our community. We had our struggles this year, and how did we get through? With unity, together, by caring for each other, by remembering the older adults and those who have the least among us. And that is how we will move forward, with unity, together, with a spirit of umoja. Umoja. You say that with me? Umoja. One more time. I want to hear you say it with feeling. Umoja. That's right. So we are starting this new tradition here in City Hall Park, and I thank the man who sparked the idea for this celebration last week on his radio show, Ebro in the Morning. He is a great New Yorker, an entrepreneur. He is a truth speaker, and most of all, he is a leader in our communities. So I want to thank you, Brother Ebro Darden, for this wonderful idea, and I want to thank you, Maisha, for the majestic Kinara that graces our celebration this evening. And thank you all, brothers and sisters, out here in the cold, but with your warm hearts. Let's make this a memorable first Kwanzaa.
Amen.
Amen. That's right.
Well, sometimes people actually get credit. And Ebro Darden, someone I admire and appreciate, said a few days ago on the radio to me, we should be doing Kwanzaa celebration. We should make sure the whole city feels Kwanzaa, the whole city experiences the beauty of Kwanzaa. And I heard Ebro say that. I said, well, Ebro's just right. You know, that's what we got to do so everyone can feel and experience it. So we're going to give credit where credit is due. We'll give thanks for the person who said it was time for Kwanzaa to be celebrated here at City Hall in New York City. My pleasure to introduce Ebro Darden.
Abadigani. Abadigani is a term that I learned very young. I was raised in Northern California, and I started to learn Swahili terms through Kwanzaa. Swahili being a language spoken in many parts of Southeast Africa. Abadigani means, what's the news? What's the news? Kwanzaa meaning first fruit. And so we're here to not only, as the First Lady put, recognize our ancestors. The red candles represent the blood of our ancestors. The green candles represent the earth, the prosperity, the land, the future, the opportunity. And the black candle represents the people. But I believe that the 7 principles of Kwanzaa is something that everybody can gather around. Specifically black people. This is a very Pan-African acknowledgement, Kwanzaa. It is not religious, it's cultural. Right? So some people confuse Kwanzaa as Black Christmas. You can celebrate Christmas, but you can also celebrate Kwanzaa. My mother's Jewish. She celebrated Hanukkah and Christmas. So when I had the mayor on the air, I said, well, if everybody can celebrate Hanukkah and everybody can celebrate Christmas, why can't we all celebrate Kwanzaa? And so here we are today with a great opportunity to learn, to come together, to unify, and to become people that support one another and become allies of each other's culture. Because black people, as you all know or may not understand, we are always attempting to define our place here in North America, teach people the pain that we have gone through in defining ourselves as black people in North America, in the Americas in general, while also connecting back to where we came from. And Kwanzaa is a part of that exercise. So with that, I turn it back over to the mayor. Thank you all for coming out. It was something that I salute my family over here, Jazz and Issa, and also the Favors family over here, who we celebrate Kwanzaa together every year. This year, we're here. We weren't gonna have a reason to get together because, you know, COVID, so we're social distancing, but you know what? City Hall Park, we're outside. It's the place, bundle up, let's do it. Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa, everybody.
Thank you, Ebro. And I appreciate the way you spoke about everyone finding their meaning, their truth. This is a holiday full of truth because it helps to restore and respect so much that some have tried to take away from people of African descent. And here we celebrate the beauty of this holiday. And this Kinara, if you just look at it for a moment, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's moving. It immediately gives you the feeling in your heart of why this holiday is so important. And the artist who created this Kinara has been a leader spreading the message and the meaning of Kwanzaa here and all over this country. And we thank her for that extraordinary work, and we thank her for the beautiful work of art she has created for New York City. My honor to present to you Maisha Sullivan Ungoza.
Habari gani? Umoja. Umoja habari gani. I'm very honored to have created this, and I have to do my piece. Ashe. I hope the ancestors forgive me for pouring from plastic. You should never pour libation from plastic. You shouldn't use something toxic doing something special. And plastic and styrofoam is toxic, and you should never do anything special. You really shouldn't be using them much either, but it is what it is. I'm very honored to have created this and put to use one of the principles. Really, all the principles came to being for this to happen. The first one was, I knew I had the kuumba, the creativity, because I'm a creative person. I'm a maker. I'm a multimedia artist. I work with all kinds of things. And I like to share that. And I liked having this opportunity because a lot of times women don't get this kind of opportunity. So I appreciate this. But, you know, I had to have faith that it would happen. And the city had to have faith that I could make it happen in less than a week. I had less than a week to do it. And then I had friends who came in. So we had collective work and responsibility going on, right? And I had a procurement team running around. After I couldn't run around anymore, I had to get and start cutting and sanding. I had all my sister friends, they running around trying to find some outdoor candles with battery lit, so everybody wanted it to happen. Not just, and we're from Philadelphia, we're not from here, right? But Philadelphia is very Kwanzaa centered. Right now we lit Boathouse Row red, black, and green, and the skyline is red, black, and green. Y'all gotta catch up, right? So we're very, and I was supposed to be at an event where they're lighting up the boathouse tonight for Kwanzaa. But it takes all of us working together to make things happen. And certainly that as a city, dealing with this pandemic and you're still functioning and people are still coming together. And Kwanzaa, it's time for us to ingather. So we're doing it virtually, and we're here and sharing time and space, which is, it's just rare to get a chance to do this now. So I appreciate that. So my thinking into this, when I was cleared that she said she wanted to do it, she said, well, can you send me some sketches? I sent 2 sketches real quick, because I always have something in my head. I always have something. I'm a creative person, so it's always something bubbling around. It's a spark. This one of the prints, you see this for Kuumba, creativity. It's an electrical spark. It's how your brain could go when some idea come to you and it go like, pew! That's the symbol, and that's always going off in my head, right? It's, something, I see something, how can I do that? How can I make that better? And that's what that principle is about, to do always as much as we can in the way that we can. And so I saw this as a challenge, and I like challenge, and I wanted it to be a statement. I can't stand tacky. I can't stand something that don't look the best for represent who we are. And so I said, well, everybody said, well, who else best can do that but you? So I was honored to do it. But I'll give you some idea of the concepts. You see this Nguzo Saba symbols are down the front. But the frame itself, I had some other ideas. I was trying to do different parts of Africa. But it kept sending me back to ancient Egypt. So this is like a temple in ancient Egypt, one of the pylons. And you see it there, and on top is a boat. It's a boat on top of it. And the importance of boats in ancient Egypt is when the Nile floods and inundates, it makes them able to farm and harvest and sustain themselves. So it's talking about harvesting, the same kind of thing we're talking about here for Kwanzaa. We're harvesting the people. So the boat is a very sacred symbol of people coming together and being able to get their needs met, right? And so we have to do that. 2020, we hope 2021 get itself together, but we still got to get our needs met. Our physical ones, our emotional ones, our spiritual ones. We still have to do it. And we're hoping we all have a boat that can help us get there. Right? A boat, a steady boat that could take it. So that's what the boat is, to provide a steadiness, the way for people to travel, to get their needs met. So that was my thinking in this whole thing, and just give it this look of a sense of presence that we will all get our needs met. You have to practice these principles, practice them daily, not just during Kwanzaa. We just highlight them during Kwanzaa. I use them every day. At the end of the day, I go through an inventory. I said, man, I had a hard time being self-determined in the day because I wanted to curse somebody out, So I go down, I use it as a reality check. Some days I can hit all 7. Some days I got to work on some of them, It's hard to have faith sometimes when you see some awful things going on out here. So I use it daily, but during Kwanzaa, I highlight them. We come together and we lift them up and we give them energy. And so you see the black candle for the Umoja candle. We always start with the people first. The black represents the people. And so you can't see it with all the light, but it's a black candle lit. And we're going to light the rest symbolically, how we would light them every day, just to say if we're together for 7 days. So we're going to have them all lit, represent that we have gathered by the end of the last day. So we have to have these colors, red, black, and green, because they're our colors. I always tell people I tell my sororities, don't put your sorority colors up there, candles on the Kinara, and you can't put leftover orange from Halloween, those kind of things. We have to have red, black, and green because they're our national colors. No matter where we see them, if we see red, black, and green, we know, somebody black up here. Don't you? As soon as you see it, it's automatic. It's a connection. It's our national, it's our culture, it's our cultural colors. So we have purple or green, That don't move. That don't send us that kind of energy. But red, black, and green, as soon as you see it, you be looking around. Oh, okay. Somebody else up in here besides me. Soon as you see those colors, that's the importance of why we have to keep them red, black, and green. Sometimes that black handle's hard to find. Start looking around Halloween. That's what I do. And just get them early. You got to think in advance, right? But it has to be these colors. And the brother told you what those colors meant. But the connection to this, talking about Egypt, we know these colors from Marcus Garvey from the UNIA. But really, I had an old book from the UNIA because my uncle was a member of the UNIA when it first started. And I found some in his things. It's also the color of the Nile floods. When the Nile first floods and it's dirty, the water is black, right? And then if you see soil in Africa is red, after a while it starts to get very, very red. And then it's green, it cleanses itself. So if you look in ancient Egypt, and I've been visited, you see their colors were red, black, and green on their banners in ancient Egypt. So it ties into this. So with all the energy was coming back about that, we think of it just as Marcus Garvey's colors, but it actually was ancient colors of a mighty nation at one time, So that was my thinking about it. I probably would have thought a lot more if I had more than 3 days to make it. But I was glad to do it, and I want to thank, in particular, he's not here. He's like my brother, Zumbi Soweto. He gave up a couple of his days to come in because this thing is heavy, and he was lifting it for me. He was moving it for me. He was doing this, and this is the first time we've worked together around a carpentry project. And we worked together around a lot of other cultural things. And so he knew I made things, but he didn't know I had all this equipment. He didn't know this kind of thing. So he learned some things from me, and I learned some from him. So he definitely is a co-creator of this, brother Zumbi Soweto, in terms of his just being there to make sure we can move it and get it here and all that. So that was my thinking. I want to thank the mayor, and I want to thank the First Lady for this opportunity, and I want to thank Suri for keeping me, telling me, let me know what to do. I didn't know I was supposed to be here for this, so I was glad that I could, and I want to thank everyone, and I hope that you find the beauty and the meaning in what I put into it. Thank you.
And you.
Thank you.
Well done. Beautiful. Maisha said such powerful words about the meaning. She also threw down a little bit of a challenge, New York City, reminding us that she believes Philly is ahead of us. Now, if we like to be inspired by truth and justice, but also if anyone says Philly's better than us, that's going to get us going. So, but I think with Ibro's idea and Maisha's amazing work, it is a good challenge to New York City to deepen our celebration of Kwanzaa every year. If Philly's doing it like that, we should be doing at least that much. And there's always a chance for people to learn and grow and feel something and understand something and find the respect that this holiday demands. So let this be a beginning. Let this be a first step. And Kwanzaa is going to mean so much more with every passing year, the more people dwell on its power. And everyone, this is just a beautiful moment, and I'm so honored we could share it together. Happy Kwanzaa, everybody.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
Unity that brings us together. Umoja. Unity that brings us together. Umoja. Unity that brings us together. Kujichagulia. Ujamaa. We'll spend our money wisely. Ujamaa. We'll spend our money wisely. Ujamaa. We'll spend our money